afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are organizing a special session on solarizing residential roofs, the new framework. This is a new concept proposed by BSES Rajdhani and Yamuna Power Limited. Value of grid-connected solar rooftop solar with the PPA mechanism under hybrid model. We have with us Mr. Abhishek Ranjan and Mr. Mukesh Dadich from BSES Rajdhani and BSES Yamuna Power Limited. I would request Mr. Abhishek Ranjan to please come in and do the context setting. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you
I
are.
must thanks ASSOCHAM for accepting my request and setting up this meeting with our valued partners and all the interested people today who have joined or about to join. The idea is we have come a long way in the area of rooftop solar. We have mixed experiences, both the DISCOMs as well as the partners that we have. And we had multiple feedbacks from our consumers as well. We also had feedback from different states, MNRE, governments, state nodal agencies, EREM, for example, in Delhi. So we felt there is some kind of gap where the rooftop solar is not taking off. In the existing conventional two models, one is the CAPEX model, another is the RESCO model. In Delhi, the Honorable Commission has already announced the VNM and GNM. And this virtual net metering and group net metering also, we are aware that it has been notified. We had been working on our billing system, SAP. There were some challenges, but now we are being told that maybe by September first week it will be live. That is also going to give a boost to the rooftop solar. But then we still felt there is a section which is 1 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt, wherein RESCO is not available. I mean, people are not interested in RESCO. People means our partners are not interested in RESCO, the way we understand the RESCO. And people don't have money to pay under the CAPEX. There is a gap. So they don't have the loan capabilities also available, retail loans at a good rate. Though SBI, MNRE, etc., IREDA, etc., they have been talking about World Bank facilities. But we don't see much of it on the ground, except that if you already have an existing loan, you can have a home improvement loan. You can include rooftop solar into it. But if you want to have or go for solar, you don't get a solar loan at a attractive interest. You have to do it in a capacity of a personal loan, for example, which is very, very costly. And then also you have a lot of collateral requirements by the banks. So we thought, where could be the way where the people don't have to pay, while the developers also are keen to solarize such without taking the risk of non-payment from these kind of consumers. And of course, we are very much aware of the value of the distributed rooftop solar for a DISCOM. We have had multiple studies, they are in public domain. We'll briefly touch upon today also. So there was a need felt for such kind of mechanism or vacuum filling for such segment where CAPEX people don't have money, RESCO can't come in the present form, what next? And that is the one where it is also subsidized by MNRE, CFA 0 to 10. Especially in 0 to 3, we do not see much uptake in the current phase 2 tender also, as my partners here are today, we'll discuss that. We have not seen much traction in the 0 to 3 category also. Multiple reasons are there. So we'll discuss those reasons, and we had proposed a business model today. In fact, this was proposed to Honorable Commission. It is under consideration of Honorable Commission in Delhi. And meanwhile, we thought that we can have a discussion with all our solar partners because they are the ones who are going to partner with us and implement. And hence we are before all of you today. So with this, I'll give it over to Kavita ji. Again, thanks a lot for your cooperation and help and support to bringing all of us together here. Over to you, Kavita.
Yes, thank you, Abhishek ji. Very kind of you to thank ASSOCHAM. Basically, we have followed your instructions and everything you have. It'll be good in case if we could adopt this model. This will be very good economically and for the rooftop solar and for the solar industry as well. May I request Mr. Mukesh Dadich to please come in and say a few words. Mr. Dadish.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, and SHM for providing us opportunity to BACS companies to present about the new business model which we are proposing today. So, as mentioned by Abhishek, yeah, there have been some issues and difficulty, especially towards the lower segments where the RESCO model is not available, and especially to the people and especially in BYPL area as well, where the low income strata people is there, uh, they cannot afford to have this 1 kilowatt to 5 kilowatt capacity plants. Still, they are interested in availing the solar benefits. And the second question is why DISCOM is pushing these all initiative in terms of solar rooftop. So there are technical as well, other regions also. So um, we believe that, and it is technically proved that if the generation is as close to the load center, then obviously the losses are uh, lower side, and voltage regulations and the power quality things are better in terms of, and also there is greater stability as long as the uncertainty on the part of embedded solar rooftop generation, you can meet that uncertainty in a good manner as well. So we are also parallelly working on that aspect, both on supply side and also on the solar rooftop embedded generation side, to have that kind of reduced variability and uncertainty. Apart from that, we have already carried out, as Abhishek ji mentioned, that solar rooftop is going to support our network, and it also avoids the capex requirement, because Delhi is a landlocked area, and unlimited expansion or augmentation of lines, transformers, and other associated electrical infrastructure is not possible. So going in a conventional planning fashion is not possible perhaps in coming years, and with EV load is also coming in a big way. So therefore a greater amount of dependency on embedded generation is a must have for DISCOMs as well. So we are looking for more and more internal generation in form of solar in coming years. As regard to CapEx and RESCO models, we have been these two models are in place for last 5 or 6 years, or maybe more than that. But again, there are difficulties. Last 1.5 years have been really tough for us and for our partners as well, in terms of COVID and other things as well. So, what should be our best model, business model, in terms of providing this solar capacity to, especially to lower segment people, which are not eligible for RESCO model. So, therefore, the need for this new business model arises, wherein DISCOM can partner with the developers and propose some sort of revenue guaranteed model to them, so to create a win-win situation for DISCOM, consumer, and developer as well. So more about, as we will discuss in this particular event, we will be describing more about the granules of this particular model, and discussing with our partners how they look at this new initiative. As Abhishek ji told, that it is already under consideration of Honorable Commission. So based on your inputs, we may also decide to incorporate your suggestions as well into that, and trying some sort of getting some sort of nod from our regulator, so that we can put this new model on ground as soon as possible. So maybe Abhishek ji can explain about this model in a better way, and then we will be inviting views from our partners on this particular model. Thank you.
Thank you, Mukesh ji. Kavita ji, next.
So you can carry on with the meeting. You can conduct the meeting, the discussion. I'm trying to follow up with some other participants who have not joined in.
Okay, ma'am. So may I please request to enable the sharing rights, please?
Conti, please give sharing rights to Shri Abhishek Ranjan.
Please share screen, sir.
Yes, thank you. Got it. Please let me know if you are able to see our screen.
Yes, sir, we can see it,
Yes,
sir.
sir, we can see them.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So welcome back again, and thanks a lot, Mukeshji. We have set the correct context actually, and we are here to discuss and deliberate the ways in which we can exploit or economically exploit the bottom of the pyramid in terms of the rooftop solar. Greater than 25 kilowatt, we are aware what is happening, but less than that, then there is a void. There is a void which we need to fill in. So with this intent, I am starting this presentation, a brief one. This is a summary of what I'm going to tell you in the next 10-15 minutes. Rooftop solar in India, in Delhi has a system load following characteristics. And this is a very important thing. We'll just see how and why it is important. It has multiple advantages for DISCOMs, both commercial and technical. We had both the studies done in both BSES, Yamuna and Rajdhani in last 4 or 5 years. And we have seen them actually being proved. Now we'll talk about a very brief solar journey. Of course, this has been made possible by the participation of the consumers as well as our solar partners, first in phase 1 and now in phase 2. Briefly revisit GNM and VNM, which are the unique models in Delhi only. And then we'll talk about PPA-based hybrid business model, which we have submitted to Honorable Commission for their views and their guidance actually. And then we'll see the question answer. We'll request your critical or critique of this particular things and your suggestions also. This is what I was talking about. If you see, this is a typical summer load curve of Delhi and the solar generation curve. So the ramp rate or the ramping in the morning is coinciding with the ramping generation of the solar rooftop. And though the peak is not coinciding, but we are saying generally it is having a load following characteristic. It is following the system load. And this system load is also mimicked at the distribution transformer level where the rooftop solar is connected. So rooftop solar is also helping in the loading or relieving the load on the distribution transformers as well in the daytime. For the night time, obviously, we have some other solutions. Now we are implementing battery storage and also rooftop solar with battery storage. But for the daytime, it is anyway providing a complete support. This is the perspective from the DISCOM side towards rooftop solar. If you see, it is providing peak shaving and power purchase cost optimization. And also, just a second, I'll bring pointers. Yeah. So this is the peak shaving and the peak power purchase cost optimization. It provides the network congestion relief when it is connected on the rooftop at the DT. Network upgrade capex deferral is being helped by this in certain areas where the DT doesn't have a night peak. Wherever there is a day peak, it helps in the capex deferral. Reactive power and voltage control opportunities are there here. Avoidance of POC and STU losses in serving the load. And this is what we are saying, 100 units being produced at the rooftop. We don't have to purchase 100 units ex bus from some station outside Delhi, and therefore the point of connection charges, the losses and the state transmission utility losses, they are actually avoided. Of course, it is providing the RPO benefits. Integration with the grid or the DT penetration is a challenge, but then what we did was we did a study and we found out that up to 75% of the DT capacity, you can allow rooftop solar penetration without any changes in the thermal upgrade, production schemes, etc., or reverse power. And that we have seen that it has worked well in our area. lack of viable funding options, as I was saying, for the small rooftop solar enthusiasts or those who want to do it in the capex mode. And in case of OPEX or that RESCO model, we have seen a lot of complaints from our vendor partners that there is a lack of payment security mechanism, lack of trust and performance, etc., from the consumers, especially the residential consumers. Now, opportunities why we are looking at is the solarizing of the roofs in the congested network areas to provide network relief. Now, of course, where there is a night peak also, we are introducing battery storage combined with the solar PV. And we are also, if you have seen the first slide, that was a slide on the carport we have recently installed. Carport, that is solar PV plus EV charging. Synchronization of the EV with the EV charging of the solar PV, and that's what we are working on. And soon we'll come out with a technical POC, and also we will approach Honorable Commission for allowing some kind of POU signals, pricing signals to synchronize both EV and PV. In a nutshell, these are the benefits of the rooftop solar PV for a discount, peak power, peak shaving in PPC optimization, avoidance of fresh PP or LTA associated costs, low voltage network congestion relief and O&M cost optimization, LV network upgrade, capex deferral, reduction in the T&D loss, serving the load, reactive power voltage opportunity, control opportunity, and RPO benefits. So immense support from our solar partners. Some of you are here in both phase 1 and phase 2, due to which we have been able to, I still remember we started with our Solarize Dwarka program in January 18. And that was in 17-18 year, FY 17-18, towards the Q4 of 17-18. 21-4-1 was the rooftop solar installed then, and we have come a long way, four times in 4 years. 2021, and in fact we crossed 85 megawatt in 84 megawatt in BRPL area and 23 megawatt in YPL area, and together we have exceeded 100 megawatt peak in BSCs. Delhi has a potential, as you know, is 2000 megawatt peak. How much is getting converted, we are not sure. Next 5 to 6 years, we expect that we are going to add about 300 megawatt combined in both the BSES companies, obviously with your support. This is very important, and you are aware. This is the segment focus area 0 to 10, the first green bar, where we are saying that 1209, the capacity, if you see over there, 1209 is the number of connections, and capacity size, ticket size is up to 10 kilowatt, very small ones. And there we have the problems here. If you see, this is where we want to focus on, and this forms about, in terms of numbers, 51%, but in terms of capacity, this is about 17%. Now we want to focus on this because the institutional area, which has been serving us well, this one, and commercial also, these are the two drivers in BSEs and Delhi also. They are well off, they are doing pretty well, and now they are taking advantage of group net metering. We'll understand how. And virtual net metering, that will spur a lot of mobilization of rooftop solar in these two areas, institutional and commercial, because it makes a lot of commercial sense, the value to them. Now, if you talk about the residential, there the problems that I had described earlier, there is a problem. So though the number of connections they are coming forward is more, capacity is low. We see a lot of value which needs to be unearthed. So before I get into the business model of the hybrid one, we talk about the group net metering. I hope, and I guess you are already aware of, but still we will try to talk about this. There, it is applicable to all consumers, and the surplus energy generated from renewable energy source or the BESS charged through RES. BESS is also allowed, it's not a problem, is exported to the grid. Exported energy is adjusted in more than one service connection of the same consumer within the same DISCOM area. These are the two important aspects. Surplus units injected into the grid shall be adjusted against the energy consumed in the monthly bill of the service connection, and the sequence will be provided by the consumer themselves. So suppose a consumer has 5 different connections, so he will say connection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if the solar rooftop is connected at connection number 1, so the surplus suppose is 100 units. So out of 100 units, the next connection will be, say, connection number 2. So that 100 units will be set off in the consumption of that one. And then if any surplus is left out, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, something like that. And this is provided by the consumer himself. The sequence begins with the connection where the RES is located. And of course, if RES is located on a residential premise, of course, it becomes eligible for the CFA. So this is one of the important vehicles for proliferation of solar in the CNI segment. CNI segment, what they are trying to do is, as many of you would be also doing it, they are acquiring piece of lands, parcels, etc., or warehouses wherever they have some big size, big ticket size of rooftop possible, and they are injecting there in the grid locally, and they are taking the advantage at the other sources. This is the way in which group net metering is envisaged to promote solar. It may not essentially be rooftop solar, but it is promoting solar, especially in the C&I segment. If you talk about the virtual net metering, where it is applicable to residential consumer, GHS, etc., where there is a single roof, and that single roof is having rooftop solar, there are multiple other consumers who do not have roof space. So wherever the roof is available, their connection is there. From there, it is injected as in a gross metered fashion entirely to the DISCOM, and then it is adjusted amongst all the participating consumers in the same distribution license area. Okay. So it will be as per the ratio of the procurement of the RES indicated in the agreement. So these 5 or 6 people who are under the VNM, they will indicate that, okay, 10% give it to X, Y will get 15%, something like that. And that percentage is fixed for 1 full year. They can again change if required in the next year. Again, here also, if the RES is located on a premise which is residential, can be done. So this is also expected to promote a lot of offtake in the residential as well. But then the problem remains that there could be certain residential consumers who have roofs, but ticket size is small, 1, 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt, something like that. They can obviously avail of this VNM thing where we play the role of demand aggregation and we play the role of matchmaking. There is a big consumer who is having a rooftop, but he is not interested in that much amount. So then he can play the role of an VNM master. We call it master. And then these children consumers, they can connect with them. But then the children consumers, if they have roof, that remains unsolarized. So that then the problem still remains. The smaller roofs having capacity, ticket size maybe up to 3 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt, they remain unsolarized. So in order to enhance the utilization of the roof space, we said that let's have some third model, which is called hybrid RESCO model. You can say PPA based hybrid model, whatever names you want. So this works like this. In this case, the RESCO is having a gross PPA with the DISCOM. It supplies the entire power to DISCOM, and DISCOM pays the competitively discovered tariff. So what it does is, it invests in the rooftop solar PV on the leased roof. It signs agreement with the consumers, maybe a group of consumers, and then these consumers could be 1 or 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt ticket size each. So suppose we come on a threshold, say for example, 200 kilowatt, 300 kilowatt, something like that. So if it is maybe 300 kilowatt, one ticket size, and every roof is maybe having up to 2 kilowatt capacity, maybe 150 such homes. They may be in the same neighborhood, same colony, preferably being served by the same DT. Then it will give relief to the DT also. So in that scenario, they sign a lease agreement with the RESCO player, among the RESCO and the consumers. And the RESCO invests and installs rooftop solar on the roofs. The rooftop solar consumer do not pay the tariff to the RESCO player, unlike the traditional RESCO that we do today. And they are not also going to pay for the amount to the RESCO player. Instead, RESCO player enters into a PPA at a pre-adopted tariff, discovered tariff through a tender mode, in which that was discovered and they had agreed. and that will be approved by the Honorable Commission. Now we are going also to seek the MNRE CFA incentive over here. As you might be aware, the CFA is available to the private discoms like us in advance. So for example, in phase 2, MNRE has already disbursed us the first tranche of advance, and we are in process of giving it to you. As soon as you are submitting us all the documents, we are disbursing to you. We have disbursed to many, and we are in process of disbursing to many of you. And we expect this disbursal process to complete as soon as possible, as and when you are submitting all your claims. So in that scenario also, the subsidy will be available to you upfront. Even before you install, or the moment you install, it will be available, something like that. So that you are not bothered about the cash flow issues, maybe 1 year, 2 years, it gets lingered on. It is not. So it is expected that you will pass on the benefit of the CFA, say up to 3 kilowatt, it is 40% in the tariff which is going to be quoted. Now, the consumer, what he does is he pays the slab rate to the DISCOM. Why? Because under the net metering regime, he's going to pay for the import minus export units only. So he's being provided the net metering benefit as is being provided in the CAPEX or ESCO mode as on today. The consumer is getting the net metering benefit. RESCO is getting the PPA support, and therefore it could be a more secured payment mechanism. It is a long-term PPA, maybe 25 years. We can discuss about that. That also you can tell us, maybe 25 years, 20 years, 12 years, 15 years, whatever you think, and why do you think that way. You may get some kind of relief from the bankers also. You may get a funding at a good rate, which may also help you in getting good tariff. For DISCOM, it is win-win. Why? Because we are getting more and more generation at the consumer end itself, relief and all the discount benefit that we discussed earlier. Now the consumer, if he or she is not eating into the generation, solar generation, for example, in this case it is RESCO. RESCO player would be expected to ensure that the generation is happening well. Now, if consumer is not promoting this or hindering it, naturally his bill will go up. For example, there is a consumer who is now consuming about 300 units per month, and due to this solar, his slab rate is coming down from 300 to below 200. His bill becomes zero. Now, if he is not generating rooftop solar, he is not allowing RESCO player to generate, he will again fall back into the 200 plus, and therefore he will again have to pay. So that is the deterrent for him not to work against the interest of the solar generation. Otherwise, he will have to pay. So that is what he is preventing him from paying some kind of negative things towards the solar generation. So consumer will be leasing the rooftop to the RESCO. There would be a early exit clause also, just like we have in the RESCO. So early exit clause, consumer, if he wants to exit, there will be a clause, and then he has to pay at a pre-agreed rate. So in this scenario, pre-agreed rate will be as a part of the lease document, which is going to be signed between the consumer and the RESCO, and that has to be agreed. For that pre-agreed rate, if some payment security has to be kept in, that also we can discuss what can be, in what shape it can be there, in BG format or whatever format it is there, and they will continue to pay the usual grid tariff to the DISCOM here and avail the net metering benefits, which is called the notional rent. So with this, these are the salient points. The consumer does not incur capex. Third party leases consumer roof under an agreement. A connection which could be net metering agreement is entered between the consumer and the DISCOM as a back-to-back contract pursuant to the lease agreement. Consumer does not receive rent from the RESCO. RESCO player doesn't have to pay anything to the consumer. Rent is passed on to the consumer through the DISCOM in the form of incentives in the electricity bill. So in that, notional rent is a function of the solar generation. So if the solar generation is going down, his rent will also go down. So that is a deterrent to him not to discourage the solar production. And if the solar production goes down, the revenue realization of the RESCO player also goes down. So it is the interest of both consumer and the RESCO player that the plant generates to the optimal level. Consumer pays a lower slab rate, which I explained to you, to the extent of the solar energy generated by utilizing its rooftop, and that is the benefit he is getting. Of course, other net metering benefit towards the end of the year, the PPC rate, he is getting the surplus, whatever it is, from the DISCOM. That RESCO does not have to worry about. RESCO is getting fixed, whatever tariff was determined, multiplied by total number of units being produced, by, recorded in the solar meter provided by the DISCOM, and that is what he is happy with. DISCOM will enter into a PPA as I explained earlier, and it will be a with the RESCO developer, and it will be a standard PPA. Standard PPA means we are procuring power from you, just like, for example, we are procuring from NTPC. Similarly, we are procuring from you. You are a developer, you are a generator, and we are paying to you as per the, and there will be standard terms and conditions. For example, minimum generation will be so much. If it is below that, there is a problem of penalty clause. Even, and if we are not able to offtake, for example, there is a outage in the distribution transformer area, and there is a failure of rooftop solar could be produced and injected, that will be deemed a generation benefit or something like that. Those kind of clauses will be there. It has to be balanced. The tariff will be discovered as per the competitive discovered rate and approved by the respective SERs. So with this thought process, we have already approached Commission. We are yet to listen from them. What is it? And here I'll take a pause, and now I'll invite our partners to come one by one and give your suggestions, ask questions, whatever it is. So over to you.
May I request Ms. Ritulal come
Hi.
in? Hi,
Abhishek,
Ritu.
I'm still not 100% clear on the hybrid model. So the gross metering is obviously very, very clear to understand that irrespective of who owns that system, the entire energy produced from it is sold to the grid, and the PPA is with the distribution company. Okay. Now, let me tell you what I have understood and what I still have not understood, because, I think the gap lies more in me, because you tried your best to put it into a table as well as then the format. So supposing there is a home with say 8 kilowatt or let's say 10 kilowatt capacity. Okay. So Amplus sets up a rooftop plant or an on-premise plant wherever at this consumer's site. Okay. But it is not going to be sold to the consumer. This plant is going to be put up by Amplus on their own investment, right? The PPA that is being signed between Amplus and DISCOM, right? So supposing this is a small plant, so supposing the PPA is, say, for ease sake, supposing we are saying 5 rupees. Okay, so 5 rupees a unit. Okay, and it's about a 10 kilowatt plant, right? So it's supposing it generates on a daily basis, say 50 units. Okay, so for whatever performance parameters, PLF and all, force majeure, all of that we put into the deemed generation, everything we put into the contract, and this is the PPA that we sign with the DISCOM, right? The premises are on lease. The rooftop or whichever place the solar plant is there, that space is leased out to Amplus for this activity. However, Amplus is not going to be paying any lease to this client. Okay. However, technically, the DISCOM is not going to buy out all the electricity. Right? The electricity is going to be consumed as if the DISCOM was not in the picture, as if it was a net metering arrangement. Right? So supposing this household was consuming, say, 100 or say 80 units per day. Right? So 80 units per day is what they were consuming from the distribution company every day. Okay. Now, what is going to happen is daily they're going to net. So some of it will not be in the day and some of it will be in the night. So I'm saying by providing them net metering from 50, they are getting about from 80, 50 is coming from solar, right, which they are consuming, and 30 is what they are buying from you, from the distribution company, right? So they are saving, say, supposing your tariff with them is 8 rupees. Yeah. So for 50 units which they are buying, they're saying 8 minus 5, which is 3, 150 rupees per day is what they save. And this you're saying is going to translate into, say, you know, instead of this is what you earn instead of your rental from your leasing, right? Who is going to pay me the rooftop owner? So it's a tripartite PPA actually, because I am going to get money from the rooftop owner and not the distribution company, right?
No, here is the difference. Here is the difference. See, that system, the rooftop solar system in a month produced say 100 units.
Right.
And this was recorded in the solar energy meter, solar meter.
Right.
Rate was 5 rupees per unit. So 500 rupees I am going to pay you. Discom is going to pay you 100%.
So the payment also comes from the distribution company,
Yes.
right? So
That
you're
will
paying
come from
me,
us.
right? And of those, 100 units were generated there. Then the rooftop owner also, supposing their consumption in a month is 180 total consumption, okay, of which 100 they consumed from the rooftop solar plant, and 80 units facilitated via net metering, because there was some banking and exchange that happened of that electricity generated, because the time of production was not always the time of consumption. Net 80 units they are also buying from you, this consumer.
It's simple. Ritu, I'll
So
simplify
on
this
the
simply.
so on the 100 that they are not buying from you, that they are actually buying from you, but from the solar plant, right? They have made a saving, and
Correct.
that saving is sufficient for them to not be paid anything for the roof rent. Okay.
Yeah. So, Ritu,
So now tell me, I am very clear on what I make. You pay me every, the payment is going to come from the DISCOM to
Correct.
the developer, right?
Correct.
And it's set up on a third party's premises. The third party is a consumer of the distribution company.
Correct.
However, the agreement is such that instead of wheeling everything into the grid, I wheel it via the consumer's electric supply.
Yes. Yes.
So if the consumer is consuming everything and there is no net metering, that is also okay. You are providing a net metering to enable an energy utilization and non-wastage, right, of whatever is produced by the solar. So
Correct.
that is where the adjustment is happening.
Yes.
And so now let me understand what's in it for the DISCOM.
Right. Now I'm coming to that. See, it is irrespective of now, as you know, there are two more models coming in, net billing and gross metering. Those two models have been propagated by the Ministry of Power.
Yeah.
So this is applicable there also. Suppose a state adopts net billing instead of net metering, there also it is applicable. Now, I'll tell you a simple story. In a RESCO mode, wherever you set up a RESCO plant, what happens is, suppose RESCO tariff was 5 rupees and that consumer has agreed to. That means he is paying you at the rate of 5 rupees for the entire generation. And then the DISCOM is paying the consumer towards the net metering benefit. What are the net metering benefit? One is the slab rate benefit every month that he's getting paid for. Import minus export thing.
Yeah.
Second is, due to the self-consumption of the generated unit, he is reducing the import. This is the second benefit.
But tell me something, are people actually reducing their connected load? No, they're not reducing the connected load, but because of, this is specific to then Delhi, because not everywhere they have the slab-based,
Okay.
so it's specific to Delhi where they have the 200, I think, right? What is the first slab?
200.
And then if they 200 becomes 201,
yeah,
all 201 is billed at a different rate.
At a different rate. And in Delhi, there is another advantage also. If you are within 200, you don't pay anything. Government subsidy. That is separate.
Yeah.
That is separate.
Abhishek, I guess the only one unit is billed at a separate rate.
No. Then
First
otherwise,
200 units
that is the way they disincentivize. That is how they disincentivize, right? The moment you top 200, everything moves to the other rate. Otherwise, there is no incentive for a customer to be energy efficient. No.
Agreed. So that is the
That's
same
what Delhi
case.
has done, which is actually, I think, an intelligent thing to do.
Yes, yes,
200
yes.
से तुम्हारा 201 गया, तो अगर
हाँ।
तुम्हारा टैरिफ 3 रुपया था,
हाँ।
अब 5 हो जाएगा। जो
बिल्कुल।
भी है, 5 था तो 10 हो जाएगा। So this
And
is
you
how they are
pay
trying
for
to
200
reduce
units
the
also.
demand for electricity.
Yeah, yeah. And you pay for the 200 units also. Earlier it was 200 के लिए 0 था, अभी 201 हो गया, तो 200 का 3 रुपए पे दोगे और 1 यूनिट 5 रुपए पे दो, ये हो जाता है. So this is a deterrent. You correctly said this is a deterrent. And there is another one. If you are between 200 to 400, you are getting 2 rupees per unit का benefit. वो अलग है. और 400 के ऊपर चलेगा फिर जो एक्चुअल है वो मिलता है. So what I'm saying is in Delhi, the consumer से जो हमारा tariff realization होता है, fixed cost is hardly 10%, 90% is variable. That is the difference. Whereas in our case, power purchase PPA जो हम sign, what we sign, we pay 50% of our cost is fixed cost. That is the problem we have. That is a separate problem anyway. So what we are saying.
इतनी सब्सिडी दोगे तो फिर आप लोगों का केस थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट हो जाता है.
हाँ, तो नहीं इस केस में क्या है?
Trying to wrap my head around कि इसमें डिस्कॉम को क्या फायदा है.
हाँ, इसमें डिस्कॉम को क्या फायदा?
दिल्ली के लिए काम करेगा, बट ये मॉडल दूसरे स्टेट्स में चेंज करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज फॉर द अदर स्टेट्स इट विल मे बी इट मे नॉट हेल्प द डिस्कॉम इन द सेम वे दैट इट इज हेल्पिंग दिल्ली डिस्कॉम्स.
नहीं, हेल्पिंग का भी इसमें एक अलग मॉडल है. सिंपल सा ये है कि आप रेस्को में लगाते हो 10, मान लीजिए 100 किलोवाट का प्लांट आपने लगाया, 5 रुपीज का टैरिफ है. The consumer is paying you at the rate of 5 rupees. He is getting the net metering benefit from the discom. Here, any state is at par. Net metering benefit यहाँ भी है, राजस्थान में भी है, MP में भी है, यहाँ भी. तो net metering और APPC, if it is APPC and net metering basically in true sense, it is at par. So what is happening is the consumer definitely is getting more benefit from the net metering than he is giving you at the 5 rupees. Still he is saving. That is the premise.
So उसका तो number of units कम हो गया ना.
हाँ, number of units कम हो गया.
Now whatever now the PPA tariff is not under the net metering scheme. Okay, net billing में it will change, but in the net metering scheme, whatever the PPA tariff is not bothering the consumer. If he is a free consumer of electricity also उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. नहीं. If he is a 5 रुपए का स्लैब पे उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, 10 रुपए का स्लैब, क्योंकि उसका तो बिजली का यूनिट ही कम करके आप जो भी रेट लगता है वो रेट कम लगा रहे हो. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, यूनिट से कम करें. वॉल्यूमेट्रिक नेट मीटरिंग होता है इसमें. वॉल्यूमेट्रिक करने के कारण जो है नीचे आपका स्लैब चला जाता है. आप लोगों को कैसे फायदा होगा इसमें? आपने मेरे से 100 यूनिट खरीदा, जैसे हम 180 पर मंथ वाले पे बात करते हैं, ठीक है. सो देयर वाज अ कंज्यूमर ऑफ 180 यूनिट्स, ऑफ व्हिच 100 यूनिट्स दैट कंज्यूमर यूज्ड फ्रॉम द सोलर प्लांट, योर सोलर प्लांट ओनली, from your solar plant which is set up by Amplus with your PPA, and 80 they had a net import from you. So out of the 180, 80 was imported from you guys. So अगर सोचो कि ये 80 का भी 5 रुपया या 6 रुपया या जो भी स्लैब है, ठीक है, 6 रुपीज में है ये. So you will bill only for that 80, or how are you going to bill this consumer? Simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass on the benefit to the consumer, that is the net metering benefit, in terms of import minus export and APPC. Import minus export करके 80 आया उसका. 80 आ गया मेरा. 80 यूनिट्स नेट उसने आपसे कंज्यूम करा. करेक्ट. उसमें 80 यूनिट पे मैंने उसका जो स्लैब रेट के हिसाब से उसका टैरिफ बना दिया. हाँ, जो भी टैरिफ था उसका, उस टैरिफ पे आपने उसको बिल कर दिया, उसको पे कर दिया. इसके साथ साथ मैंने उसमें से डेबिट उतना अमाउंट किया जितना वो डायरेक्टली आपको देता था, वो अब मैं आपको दे रहा हूँ. ठीक है. तो मेरे जो 100 यूनिट सोलर के महीने में जनरेट हुए, वो मेरे को डिस्कॉम ने दे दिया एज अ डेवलपर. करेक्ट. मेरे पैसे वहां से आ गए. तो अल्टीमेटली क्या हो रहा है, जो कंज्यूमर से वाया मीडिया होकर के मेरे को बिजली दे दी है. नहीं, मैं 100 यूनिट मुफ्त दे रहे हो? नहीं, मुफ्त नहीं दे रहा. मैं उससे पैसे ले रहा हूँ, रिकवर कर रहा हूँ. जैसे अभी क्या है, रेस्को मॉडल, नॉर्मल रेस्को मॉडल में क्या था, वो अब चलिए 100 यूनिट की बात करते हैं. 100 यूनिट उसने 5 रुपए में आपसे खरीदा था, 500 रुपये आपको दे रहा था. बिल्कुल. और मेरे से वो नेट मीटरिंग का बेनिफिट ले रहा था 700 रुपए का. ठीक है. स्लैब रेट का बेनिफिट वगैरह वो 700 रुपए का ले रहा था. 1 महीने की बात कर रहा हूँ, APPC में गया ही नहीं. मैं सेल्फ कंजम्पशन एंड नेट मीटरिंग की बात कर रहा हूँ.
उसने 700 रुपए का बेनिफिट मेरे से लिया था, आपको वो 500 रुपए दे रहा था, नेट नेट
उसका
उसको
200 रुपया उसका सेव हो गया
बच
बिजली
रहा
से।
था। अब क्या हो रहा है, अब 500 रुपए वो नहीं आपको देगा, मैं दूंगा आपको।
हाँ।
तो मैं उसको 700 नहीं देके 700 माइनस 200 500 दूंगा बेनिफिट।
अच्छा, ओके, तो आप उसको बिल करोगे 100 का भी, जो भी आपका स्लैब रेट है उस पे 100 प्लस 80 जो है आप उसको अलग अलग करोगे बेसिकली उसको बिल।
करेक्ट। तो मेरे लिए
80 है
कोई
वो आपका
नहीं हुआ।
नेट मीटर्ड, आप उसको पूरा 180 का बिल करोगे।
हाँ, क्योंकि वो मेरा इमीडिएट कंज्यूमर है।
ठीक
He's
है,
my
so
immediate
you are
consumer.
going to bill him for whatever he has consumed via the solar plant, right? So basically you are giving him electricity from two sources. You are giving him electricity from the grid, and you are giving him electricity through a distributed generation plant owned by you at that person's premise.
करेक्ट।
ठीक है, तो आप उसको बिल 180 का ही करोगे, लेकिन उसको फायदा इसलिए होएगा क्योंकि उसको आपने जो 80 आपसे नेट करके लिया है उसमें उसको नेट मीटरिंग का फायदा मिलेगा, और बिकॉज आपका स्लैब बेस्ड स्ट्रक्चर है उसका स्लैब रेट है समझने के लिए लोगों को, थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स है समझने के लिए ये लोगों को।
इसमें
मेरा भी ना वो स्लैब वाला
is-
मैं भूल गई थी, बिकॉज दैट इज यूनिक टू यू पीपल एंड मे बी सम अदर स्टेट्स, इट इज नॉट अ वेरी कॉमन फीचर इन मोस्ट स्टेट्स, नो?
even in
So
residential,
may I comment?
So that is why I was a little bit confused. Now I'm clear.
yeah, Kavita ji.
So Abhishek, sir, yeah, in view of the paucity of time, I think there are other panelists also.
Yeah,
In
please,
case
please.
if there are
Kavita,
any
just one point
questions,
which I have over here
yes,
is,
okay.
of course, this will work in those places where the distribution company has a good reputation for timely payment. वहाँ पे ये काम अच्छा करेगा. So if you know, so this model is again because you know if the distribution company typically तो क्या होता है कि distribution company becomes a risk for a RESCO, even in the utility scale.
Agree, ठीक है।
Exactly. So वो एक risk है. So obviously, and again places where the discoms are privatized and very professional like you people, this will work. Adopting this model outside Delhi looks a bit challenging from both the, because they don't have that slab based payment. So there is not that commercial benefit for the distribution company. And secondly, because the risks for the RESCO will not be mitigated.
Agree.
Because you know the discom itself will become the risk. कि उसके तो पैसे नहीं आने कभी.
Right.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah. Next,
Abhishek ji, first let me just congratulate you and Mukesh ji for bringing up and thinking of this very nice model. I think this is what we've been thinking of, rather dreaming of for a very long time, that if we sign a RESCO PPA, is there a payment security? So with you coming in picture, I think payment security issue gets resolved big time, because you have the capability or the the right to cut the electricity connection if just correct me if I'm wrong, if they don't pay, which unfortunately right now when we install a solar plant, there are 2 out of 10 customers, they just don't want to pay, and we have to file legal cases and everything goes on like that. I mean, there are a lot of cases eventually where we have to take a huge haircut in order to avoid a legal situation. So wonderful initiative. Just a quick question, will the net metering, the normal net metering with KPIS still continue with this model?
Yes,
right?
It will.
Okay, wonderful. So that gives us 2 options to exercise this, and I think it will proliferate rooftop in a big way, because we have a lot of customers calling कि भाई हमारे पास छत है, आप इसका किराया दे दो, आप लगा लो प्लांट और हमको पैसा ना खर्चना पड़े. So it addresses a key problem area in my opinion.
That will be wonderful. I mean, you can aggregate, और आप हमारे पास लेके आइए ऐसे छत वाले कितने हैं, और aggregate करके हम we can sign a PPA, और इस तरह से we are planning to float a tender also. Before that, एक तो DRC का अप्रूवल चाहिए, दूसरा आप लोगों का भी थोड़ा एक कंसेंट टाइप का चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर हम टेंडर फ्लोट करें आप लोग आएंगे नहीं तो फायदा नहीं. तो दिस इज गुड टू हियर दैट आपके पास ऐसे कंज्यूमर आते हैं, एंड वी विल आल्सो एक्टिवली प्ले द रोल. अभी हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम आपका जितना भी लीड्स आता है हम आपको दे देते हैं, वी गिव इट टू यू. लेकिन व्हाट वील डू नाउ इज वील से कि एग्रीगेट करो आपको, एंड वील से कि सब आपको केपेक्स करना नहीं पड़ेगा, छोटे छोटे को भी आपको रेस्को मोड का फायदा मिलेगा. वी डिड सम सर्वे, उसमें कंज्यूमर्स वेर वेरी हैप्पी कि साहब जैसा आपने बताया, we will combine all of them and make them one unit. और इस तरह से anybody who is matching this, जिसको चाहिए वो ले लीजिए, प्रॉब्लम। क्योंकि इसमें काफी लोग 100 किलोवाट का बना दे, एक टिकट साइज 200 किलोवाट का बना दे, जैसा एक प्रीबिड हम लोग कल या जैसा आप लोगों का आता है उस मिनिमम टिकट साइज ऐसा बना देंगे।
Yeah, I think it will be great
Abhishek.
to have this.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, Abhishek.
Hi,
am I
Shobhit.
audible?
Yeah, please. Yeah, you are. Please.
Yeah, Abhishek, hi. So, Abhishek, I have a couple of questions regarding this. First of all, what would be the tenure of this PPA? That's one for smaller segment customers. And there is I guess there is a legality around signing a long-term agreement, lease agreement with anybody. So it has to be registered and all those things have to be done. So it's not that simple as you sign it for normal lease agreements. So that I see as a challenge, because we had tried similar thing, but we found that those are the little difficult things to get it signed. I don't know how it will pan out to be. And more importantly, why are we getting into a separate agreements, like we signing a lease agreement with customer, you signing a separate agreement with RESCO? Why can't we have one single tripartite agreement which includes everything? And in that, basically, it gives confidence to both, not just to us, but to customers as well, that the BSE is involved in this typically. Otherwise, it's a kind of a private. And second important thing is that lease agreement, we are not making any payment to the customer. That payment is coming through a BSES only. So if some tripartite agreement, well-drafted tripartite agreement is there, it will give confidence to both customers and to the party who's putting up the solar plant. That's another. My another point to that would be how that buyout rate that you said it will be a predefined, specified buyout rate would be there. Now, how will that buyout rate would be decided is another point or a question basically. I understand under the tender you would be floating out with a specific just a PPA rate kind of stuff, which we'll be quoting a specific rate to sell power to. But in that case, how will this buyout rate would be decided? Will it be on the MNRE benchmark rates, or will it be subsidized rate, or how will that be defined, particularly in this case? So these are basically I wanted to understand. And more or less, I understand this is only for 1 to 10 kilowatt of systems, right? Or will it be for all systems?
See, why we talked about 1 to 10 kilowatt is because the MNRE CFA is available for that, and that will be acting as a sweetener for the tariff. Because if you get some kind of subsidy, the tariff will be suited. Whereas Ritu talked about 5 rupees or 6 rupees or 8 rupees, whatever it is, this 40% subsidy at least sweetens it by some quantum. Because please try to understand, we cannot purchase also at a very hypothetical high rate. You can't do that.
Absolutely.
At least APPC is the benchmark, that is one. But then the honorable commissions, they are saying that if you want to buy solar, go utility scale, they are giving you 2 rupees, 34 paise, 30 paise, 40 paise.
Yeah.
We are telling them that this is utility scale. And then when you bring it to the rooftop level, you add up those POC losses, charges, STU charges, losses, it is more than 350, 3.5.
Right.
So that is how you should equate. So then 350 will not be possible in these small segments. It will not be possible.
आपका एक और 350 हो जाता है अभिषेक?
Sorry?
एवरेज कॉस्ट ऑफ सप्लाई 3.5 में हो जाता है क्या?
नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ वो जो 2 rupees 14 paise का जो टैरिफ आया हुआ है ना अभी लेटेस्ट,
वो सब तो ठीक है, जहाँ जिस स्टेट में 2.14 का भी टैरिफ है, उनकी एवरेज कॉस्ट ऑफ सप्लाई तो कुछ और ही है ना?
नहीं, कॉस्ट ऑफ सप्लाई में you add not only the APPC but also your distribution cost.
Yes. So I think actually on the rooftop generation, if you work with, instead of an APPC plus, if you work from an ACOS minus approach, you may be able to convince your ERCs better, and it will still save you money, because for you whatever you are buying at a rooftop, वो आसपास में कहीं आप बेच दोगे, उसके आपका ट्रांसमिशन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन खर्चा बहुत कमाना है. So आप अगर so that's what I'm saying, आपके ACOS से थोड़ा सा सस्ता खरीद लो तो आपको your cost of purchase or final cost of purchase of, because delivery के भी तो cost आपको ही लगते हैं ना.
Definitely. अब इसमें क्या है ना,
APPC will not work. APPC will only work on the head of subsidies. Think अगर आप 10 किलोवाट की प्लांट की बात करो और वो अब सब्सिडी तो MNRE is saying कि उड़ा देंगे. So I think you need to prepare for a non-subsidy regime also for solar.
Non-subsidy में then we talk about ACOS. अभी तो subsidy
so
अभी
I'm saying go ACOS minus, which will make more sense for rooftop generation. 5 kilowatt 6 kilowatt का system है, rooftop की system है, Delhi है, which is not very high on generation in any case, right? 1500 तो मिलता नहीं है आपको यहाँ पर, और ऊपर से shading losses भी आती हैं, pollution driven losses भी बहुत है. So I think
Correct.
sensible अगर आप चाहते हैं और high quality system चाहते हैं तो ACOS minus approach को लेना पड़ेगा. And prepare for a non-subsidy. I know subsidy is a sweetener, but they are completely going to phase out subsidy.
They are going to, yes. I mean,
So at
but
least, so
the-
as long as you focus कि वो 214, 240 जो भी है, वो तो point of generation का है. उसके बाद कितने सारे खर्चे आते हैं जो आपको इधर नहीं लगाना पड़ता है. So that is the approach I would suggest, because high quality generation will not come very cheap.
Definitely, that we'll see, definitely, because the commission is going to deliberate all these things, ACOS approach or APPC approach, and what is your
And
total
just
cost.
one last thing, you know, there was one question asked on your ability to cut off supply. But if you cut off the supply to a particular house, my solar will also get cut off. Now, then it can't feed into the grid.
No, cutoff is not physically cut off, it is a deterrent. That's what he meant. It's a deterrent.
But
So
if there's a
people
physical
out of
cutoff,
fear of getting disconnected from the grid will pay in time.
so that
That's what-
threat is there. But actual cutoff will actually harm me also, na? Because if you actually cut off
Okay.
somebody's supply, तो वो
But
grid
if
में
in
जा ही
that
नहीं पाएगा.
Ritu, that is a hypothetical situation. It will not happen, but it is only to say that if you do not pay at time, in time,
I get that. I
you're
get
going
it.
to increase your
Point taken. Point taken.
deterrent is not cutting it. Here the deterrent is your bill will go up. Because if your solar generation goes down, automatically your benefits go down. And therefore your payout to the DISCOM will go up. That is a deterrent. Now ultimately, if this guy is not paying me, I'm going to disconnect the supply from there, and that could also be a cause for deemed generation. That is separate thing.
Yes.
That is separate thing. Yeah, so coming back to you, Shobhit, sorry,
Yeah.
Shishir, just a second. Shobhit had 3 questions. If I can quickly answer to you. First question, I mean, just briefly, what was it?
What would be the tenure of this PPA?
Tenure of the PPA. PPA tenure, we are saying 25 years, but then if you have some idea about the legality of the lease, you let me know whether it is 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, because as per the talks with the consumers also, they are not happy with the long duration 25-year PPA. They are talking about maybe 10 years, 12 years, something like that. So
I
if
think even-
12-year PPA is there, we need to find out what is the tariff. And then we have to convince it to the commission that you shouldn't compare the 12-year tariff, which is naturally going to be higher compared to a 25-year PPA.
Absolutely.
So you have a tariff parity. So what you say is 25 years, if you are quoting a tariff at 12 years, at 25 years, it would have been this much, and then you adjust the tariff. That is only a number that is going to explain to them. But yes, you can come back to us saying that what is the legal rate and we'll legal tenor and we'll look into it. What is the next question?
Second was, why can't we have a tripartite single agreement with party?
Yeah, we have advocated both the things. See, the customer is anyway under a contract with me. He is my embedded consumer. I already have an engagement with him. And I am going to sign a connection agreement also under the solar agreement. I can't have another agreement also. For the solar, I have a connection agreement. As an embedded consumer, I already have an agreement with him. He already has an agreement with me. So in this scenario, at most what we can do is something can be amended in the connection agreement. We can see that. But can't
Why
be a
I'm
rapid-
saying so is, why typically I'm saying so is because that our agreement does not have any value apart from getting the access to the roof, right? Apart from that, we don't have anything to do with that agreement. If that can be embedded or it can be combined with the same agreement, which makes basically the amount is also coming through the BSS to the party or the customer directly.
Yeah.
And the only thing we had been found this lease agreement, of course, that has a legality has to be seen because what I remember signing a long-term agreement has a lot of
that I told
legal issues.
you talk about what is definition of long-term, short-term, etc. We will
I
also get
understand.
to
I understand if you sign over 12 months or so, you need to get it registered, and all those things have to be done along with the.
So registration is not a problem. What helps stops us from registering?
That needs to be seen is what I remember because it was a deterrent for us. We could not do that, sign a long-term agreement.
Okay, here it was not because we got it legally evaluated. They said this is not a problem at all. Only thing is depends upon the consumer how long he will, and then the supplier like you, how long would you like? So both of you would like to exit maybe 12 years, 13 years that we can see. The third question.
Third was the buyout rate. How will that be defined?
Buyout rate, yeah. So it could be benchmark. It could be the discovered rate at which the prices have been discovered. Either way, And I remember in the SECI PSA PPAs, RESCO PPAs, there was a standard chart for this, annexure for this. What was the buyout rate there? How was it determined?
No, it was little different. It was not fixed as such, but it was some CERC guideline based on some CERC guideline, but it was not with any benchmark with any other discovered rate or the MNRE rate. It was a generic rates.
Because I remember there was a table, like if you exit at the end of the second year, this is how much you need to pay at the end of
Yes,
fifth year.
yes.
This is so amounts were fixed for the year wise.
Absolutely.
So that we have board, adopted from the SECI. But if you have some suggestions, please.
Mainly the first year cost has to be derived or found out, because post that everything is derived based on the depreciation of the assets. So,
correct. So if you have some idea, let us know. That will be helpful. We'll pitch it before the commission. Yeah, Shishir. Thank you, Shobhit.
Hi, Abhishek.
Hi,
I'm very,
Shishir.
very happy to actually see this kind of promotion coming from the DISCOM side. It's something which is very new. So we started by talking about the 1 to 10 kilowatt space, and that's what we want to, really promote. I feel we have 3 or 4 issues with that segment that we generally face. One is the space. Second is the tariff. The tariff for those consumers is little on the lower side, and it makes it difficult for solar to make some sense. And third would be the budget. The budget as in the kind of money the consumer is willing to spend. So by coming in with the hybrid model, yes, we can look at one of the things, but we really need to look at the space and the tariff constraints also. So I feel that to really pull up those consumers, we might need virtual net metering to go hand in hand with the hybrid model to really scale up that segment of the consumer. But my question or my vague concern with this new hybrid model is that, are we not moving from a small RESCO towards a big developer mode by, the DISCOM doing the tender wherein, you'll be inviting bids for the tariff that you're discovering? And how do you safeguard our interest as a small RESCO player from the likes of the bigger RESCO players, because they have access to finance, they have access to finance at a much lower rate, and much greater amounts of finance. And now that you are going out with the tenders, you'll have bigger capacity. So how do you safeguard the interest of the smaller RESCOs? We don't want, this to be again going to the big developer mode, this tender or this sector.
So what I'm telling you, Shishir, is, see, this hybrid mode is not going to replace the traditional CAPEX, RESCO, GNM, VNM, what is going on. They will keep on going. Okay. So today also, if you are happy with a typical CAPEX mode, you are having a consumer with you who is ready to sign with you, CAPEX thing or a RESCO thing, that is going to continue. So what we are saying is this is an alternate model also to look into it. Maybe all of you are not interested. But if you are not interested in this one, there is another way. We are not saying that other doors are being shut. So maybe if you are saying that you are a small RESCO and somebody is a big RESCO, he's having a money power or something like that, and then he is able to quote a very aggressive tariff, and you are not able to quote that aggressive tariff, and then you are going to lose out there. No problem at all. The CAPEX mode and RESCO mode are anyway there. That will always be there. So when we tender out, like we are going to tender out in November, because 3rd October, as you know, this current sanction is going to end. We are writing to the MNRE to fresh sanction and tender out. So tender possibly we expect by November or something we are going to tender. At normal CAPEX RESCO thing will be there at all. They will be there. If we have approval from the Honorable Commission, we will also do this as a part of the tender in the area. So what I'm saying is, if you're not fitting here, no problem, you can continue with CAPEX industry, either way. But we can't guarantee production. Like, I'm not able to find out what kind of production do you want.
No, it's not something that we want. It's just a concern. If you do a normal RESCO, then what is the benefit the consumer has with a normal RESCO? He would definitely want to go with a DISCOM-based RESCO because they're more comfortable working with the DISCOM than with the private party. So I feel they'll be always willing to do a PPA with the DISCOM as compared to doing PPA with us. And if they're doing PPA with you, then I feel that there'll be bigger players who will be quoting tariffs which might be difficult for players like the local players to match. So then, the normal RESCO would not have any sort of significance. We can either have the CAPEX model or the hybrid RESCO model. We don't have the normal RESCO model. So that's the concern. It's nothing that you can, protect, but it's just something that came.
Okay.
You still have megawatt scale developer mode, projects going on, and the tariffs that are going there are much, much lower. And now in this case, you have multiple rooftops, smaller ticket size, but still the capacity and the payment security of the DISCOM is available. So, that's why this concern.
No, definitely, we'll look into it. Only thing is, what we got to know from many of the developers like you, that RESCO is not actually working well. You are not getting paid even the RESCO. People are dishonoring you payments, delaying your payments. So that's what we thought that this could be the. But then you have given another insight as to big RESCO versus small RESCO. Let's have a thought on it. Why not? I mean, you can also give us your thoughts. What could be some measures in the tender conditions or something like that if you want to build in? We'll see. Why not? Thank you, Shishir. Anything else, please?
Yeah. Actually, I had a small concern because, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please, Mr. Manoj.
Yeah. Actually, I have a small concern because whatever small RESCO models we do for 100 kilowatt, 200 kilowatt plant, so we get our funding from a third party. Now, whenever we get this funding, there are certain set of documents that this funder requires, which includes, credit rating of the company on which we are, whose rooftop we are putting up the plant, and so on and so forth. So based on the financial capability of that party on whose rooftop we are putting up the plant, this funding comes from to us. Now, in this case, when DISCOM is actually doing the PPA with the consumer, and we are basically acting as a funding party and the.
No, just a second. Sorry,
yes,
we are not doing PPA with consumer. We are doing PPA with you.
Got your point.
You can take this PPA to the funder or the lender saying that, look, this is a bankable PPA. Just like the big utility scale bankable PPAs, they take it to the banks for the loans. You have a bankable PPA, and now you tell me there is a certainty in the payment security because now that customer is not going to pay me, and therefore you are not at risk. I'm going to repay you anyway. Here is the PPA given by the DISCOM. And then you should be more comfortable, and therefore you should allow me certain rebate or something, whatever it is.
I agree with you. I agree with you. In my case, typically, because mine is not a banking fund. If it was a banking fund, then I would have been much more comfortable with this scenario. Let's say if in this whole thing we are able to add 1 or 2, 3 bankers through DISCOM, and they actually tie up and they shortlist the vendors, that these are the vendors who are satisfied, who have participated in the tender, and they are certified for the quality, so that when we approach these banks, we get funding for these banks, we ensure that we are paying these bankers. The whole process becomes very easy, and then even as can actually enter into this, even as startups can enter into this kind of field and do it, because presently what we are doing is probably we are paying slightly higher rate to our financer. We are putting up the plans. We are trying to put up the best things, and then we are basing our work based on the financial capability of the consumer. So many of the small consumers are actually getting left out. The small segment people who don't have the credit ratings and very strong balance sheet. But if this kind of a scenario comes in, wherein you are able to tie up with 3, 4, 5 banks, and you leave those banks, and you give our vendor names who can do EPC for them. We take up loan from them, from whatever payment comes from you. We pay those loans. Then it becomes a whole, holistic.
Agreed. That is a good suggestion. So what we can talk to several of the banks and say that, hey, look, this is the scheme we are putting, and whosoever is participating in our scheme, you are requested to provide him a concessional loan, otherwise outside the scheme.
Yeah.
So that way, MSME, the small players also will get help. That's what you are saying.
That is where a lot of help can come from.
Agree. Fully agree. That is a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
Yeah. So Ranjanji, one more doubt that I have, Laksha this side.
Hi, Laksha.
Is that, are we specifically talking about 1 to 10 kilowatt right now? A. B, we also didn't touch upon the generation-based incentive that this segment already gets, 2 rupees per unit. And On top of that, my suggestion would be that getting a capex subsidy and processing it is a task in itself, because our core focus is to find customers and install plants. If in a way the discom can utilize that fund, that the capex subsidy that you get, in the generation based incentive only, added to the, like, there's already a Delhi government 2 rupees per unit. You can transfer that funds to the consumer in their electricity bill in such a way that we don't need to get into the whole process of hassling through taking the amount on our books and then transferring it and all of that. That would streamline the process much further in the hybrid model itself. So, because the only person right now, which I don't see will be the most getting attracted to the hybrid model, will be the consumer who will be giving out a space right now. Because they will be always in this, confusion that, okay, I can go into capex mode for 3 kilowatt or 5 kilowatt in the next 6 months. Let me save some money instead of taking a decision right now. But if I tell them that no, you're getting a generation based incentive on day one. Also, there's a capital subsidy which will be given to will be incentivized to you in some way, which we can figure out. Then they will be ready on the get set go the moment we talk to them, and that way the number of consumers that we'll be able to convert will be much higher than in the regular hybrid mode. So please.
Looks a deceleration, but right now MNRE guidelines are such that I cannot explain it the way you explained. We can approach MNRE definitely later on, but right now I can't do that, as you know. So, and definitely Delhi government is also now coming with capex subsidy plus GBI both. That is also coming. So that, I think they will be announcing very soon. So MNRE capex subsidy, Delhi government capex subsidy, and Delhi GBI. Three things will be available.
So this GBI will still be continuing for these set of customers. So that's added bonus to them.
Yes, it is added. This is an additional net metering benefit apart from that.
Yeah.
This is irrespective of GBI is going to be irrespective of hybrid model, capex model, RESCO model, whatever model, irrespective of.
Yeah. Okay.
Good suggestion. We can discuss with MNRE later on how to attract more and more footfall into this, as you are saying. Thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Vivek Sethi and Mr. Purushottam Sharma, in that order.
Yes, please.
So I think the most of the doubts are already clear, and it's no doubt a good project, good concept to come up, and we hope good things to see.
Mr. P.K. Sharma, would you like to comment? Mr. Purushottam Sharma.
Hello.
Mr.
That banking part should be must taken care of. That I must say.
Mr. Sharma.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Sharma from Prabhakar Solar.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. This is Abhishek ji has explained a very nice way, and this is a good approach by the BSCS. Hello.
Yes, please go
Hello.
ahead. Yes.
We can hear you, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So we understand the things, and we will also submit our inputs if we required anything else.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Mr. Mr. Ranjit Dubey.
Yeah, this is good initiative from BSCS. In normal case, this will be fully operational. Then will be decide anything. In current position, can't do the proper operational. When the same will be operational, we can do anything.
Yeah, we are before the commission, and once the commission approves this, it will be operational. Not now, but we thought that we'll also have a stakeholder discussion with our partners like you, so that if you have any thoughts also on this, we can incorporate, because this is sub judice. That was the idea of this seminar.
Right. Thank you.
Mr. Shakti Madan. I think he has already left. So I think everybody is done. In case if there's any other question from the panelists, please come forward.
Abhishek, just a small question once again. I think Ritu has already asked about it. The calculation basically, I'm little now confused that whatever generation would happen will be billed at a certain rate to the customer, and the remaining would be billed as per the net metering thing, or how is it going to actually bill in the customer? How is it will come in the bills of the customers? Or
I'll repeat. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it.
Yeah.
You have certain RESCO connections in Dwarka, as you know.
Yep.
Okay. And you know that that consumer is getting some net metering benefit in the bill. That amount you can calculate.
Yes.
And you know that that consumer is paying you at the RESCO rate which was agreed by you and him.
Absolutely.
That is the consumer outflow. Consumer inflow is the benefit that he is getting from the, otherwise if he is not having solar, what is the benefit that is computed over there?
Absolutely.
So overall outflow from the consumer to you and overall inflow to the consumer in shape of net metering benefit from the DISCOM. This inflow is more than the outflow. Then only the consumer is having some saving.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Now, we have done a simple thing. What we have done is that inflow to the consumer from DISCOM remains. That is not a problem.
Yeah.
But the outflow from the consumer to the RESCO has been replaced with a zero. And that outflow has been done from DISCOM to the RESCO from the consumer. Why? Consumer, DISCOM, RESCO. Instead of consumer to RESCO, it is consumer, DISCOM, RESCO.
Right.
Okay. So the overall benefit to the consumer still remains the same. What he's getting today with you, Dwarka consumer, for example.
Okay.
Number remains the same. The catch over here is the RESCO tariff which is going to be discovered, just like today also, if you see 3 rupees 9 paise, 3 rupees 94 paise, something like that, right? Is always lower than the slab rate of the consumer. For example, SPD Society, 5 rupees 30 paise.
Yeah.
Or there could be certain consumer where somebody, one of you said that that particular segment of
just
consumer
a
is having
question, just
very
a question. In the bill itself, like currently what they get is the import and the export units, right? The remaining of the generated units are being consumed by them directly. Say in the meter, you only get some of the exported units, not all, right? Not the complete generated units. So
sorry, just a second. So sorry for that. Yeah, you had a question?
So yeah, so I was saying in the bill, let's say 100 units, total generated unit hundreds, and total imported units, let's say 150, right? So 150 minus 200 is 50 units, which is being additional in general scenario, in normal scenario, in net metered scenario, right? So the 50 units will be billed as per the slab rates, whatever it may be, the slab rates, right? And the remaining 100 units, will it be billed and shown as per the tariff derived, which probably whatever the tariff derived, that is what will be mentioned clearly that this is will be supplied at this particular rate. Is that how the bill will show? Okay, understood.
For clarity, it has to be.
So basically, you will collect from them and give it to us. More or less, it's something like this.
Don't tell like that, otherwise commission will not pass.
Understood. But basically, that's what happening, right?
That's what is done.
Yeah, understood. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Shobhit. So over to you, Kavita ji. I think we are done.
Thank you so much, everyone, especially Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, Mr. Dadich, for giving us this opportunity to organize such an interactive session today. In fact, we would be grateful to all the panelists for sparing their valuable time to be with us this evening. Mr. Ranjan has explained explicitly about the new framework. All the queries have been clarified. All the queries from the industry also have been clarified. And I feel it would be really a win-win situation for everyone. In the coming future, we would look forward to more strengthened, scenario in this space. And with these words, I would like to thank everyone for being with us, for joining us. In case if you still have any query, you can certainly write directly to Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, but also can mark a copy to us and we will communicate whatever is the response. We thank you once again. Anything, Ranjan sir, you would like to say? and we can close. Sir, you're muted. You're muted.
I must thank Ashwacham and all my partners today. We are very proud to have partners like you. We would like to have these comments, whatever comments that you had given today, you may like to write to us and Ashwacham both, so that we can prepare a compendium, and we are prepared once we are before the commission once they call us. So even after today also you have some afterthoughts, please do write to us. You can write to Ashwacham, you have our email IDs. And I'll share this PPT with Kavita ji. Kavita ji, you can share with the participants.
Sure, will do. Will do. I would like to put up a time frame to your response and to receiving your feedback. Maybe next 3 days are a holiday, but in case if we can get it during these days, otherwise latest by Tuesday, that is August 31st, we can compile the compendium and send it to the commission.
Sure. I think if it comes to you directly, that will be great. Not me. I mean, through you, if I get it, that will be great.
Sure. My email ID for reference to all the panelists is kavita.sharma@assocham.com. You also have received the emails from my colleague Vikash.Jaiswal and Saurabh.Pathak. You can write to any of us and we will compile collate all the recommendations together. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.